Hey, I'm here with my channel. Welcome back to the show where we expose all the lies, deceptions and manipulations for the narcissists use to control their victims. And today's episode is another real story from my narcissistic abuse survivors group. So if you're new here, please subscribe before we get started because your subscription always helps spread awareness about narcissistic abuse. Now this one comes from a man who says, "My wife asked me to skip my best friend's funeral and the reason she gave shattered me." So let's hear his story and then we'll talk about it in depth. It was during the first year of my marriage. My wife lost her grandmother. She was very close to her, so it was quite devastating for her. Her family consoled her, saying things would get better with time, and they kept their promise. Within a week after the funeral, they were back to their usual fun-loving selves. But that was not the case with my wife. She remained sad for over 2 months, and barely even spoke to me. I had my own share of grief as well. A month prior to this, I had lost my father. We were very close, and it was devastating for me. But being the strong one in the relationship, I put my feelings aside and tried to be there for my wife and support her through her grief. Though I missed my friend's funeral, I didn't think much of it at the time. I thought it was only right to be there for my wife during such a difficult time. A couple of weeks later, I was shocked when she told me that she wanted a divorce. I asked why, and she said that I wasn't there for her when she needed me. I was confused. I couldn't understand how being there for her made her want a divorce. I reminded her that I had just lost my dad, and she accused me of being insensitive, saying that I should have canceled the funeral and been there for her instead. I was completely shocked. I couldn't believe that she could say something like that to me. It was only after I had lost both my parents that I realized how cold and heartless she was. Now I don't know what to do. I feel completely lost. I don't have anyone in this world except her. But now she doesn't want to stay with me. How can I make her understand my situation? What should I do? Please help. Okay. So this story really breaks my heart. It's so painful to see how little empathy these people have for others. The wife in this story, she lost her grandmother and that was very sad. But even after 2 months, she couldn't move on. And it's okay to grieve. You know, everyone grieves differently. Some people take longer than others to heal. But what's not okay is blaming your spouse for not being there for you when you yourself are not there for them. You know, her husband had just lost his father and he grieved for him. He went to the funeral and supported her during that time. And it's great that he did that. But she didn't show any empathy towards him or even acknowledge his pain. Instead, she just kept on blaming him for not being there for her. Which is ridiculous because she herself wasn't there for him when he needed her the most. And after 2 months of her grandmother's death, when the husband thought that maybe now she would be feeling better and they could move on, she served him divorce papers. Can you believe that? This is so unfair. He had given up his own family's funeral to support her and be there for her. And what did he get in return? A divorce. This shows how little empathy she has for others. She just blames everyone else for her own problems and refuses to take responsibility for her own actions. The thing is, when someone has narcissistic tendencies, they never admit that they're wrong. Even when they know that they're at fault, they always blame others for their own mistakes. And when someone calls them out on their behavior, they retaliate by playing the victim. They pretend to be innocent and helpless and shift the blame to someone else. This is exactly what this woman did. She pretended to be the innocent victim and blamed her husband for not being there for her when she needed him the most. But the truth is, she was the one who needed to be there for him too, but she didn't. She was too busy with her own problems to care about his. Narcissists are only concerned with themselves. They don't care about anyone else's feelings, and that's why they're unable to maintain long-term relationships. They may be able to manipulate people into giving them what they want in the beginning, but eventually everyone sees through their facade and leaves them. No one wants to be around someone who is only concerned with themselves. Now, the next thing I want to say is that this man got what he deserved. What do I mean by that? Well, he chose to leave his own family's funeral to attend his friend's funeral. That shows that he values his friends more than his own family. Now, I'm not saying that it's wrong to value your friends more than your family. If your family is toxic and abusive, then it's perfectly understandable that you would want to distance yourself from them and focus on building relationships with people who are good for you. But if you have a good relationship with your family and you choose to ignore them for your friend, then that's not okay. When it comes to losing a loved one, you have to be there for your family, no matter what. If you don't, then you're not being a good person. When this man's father died, he should have been there for his mother, even if it meant missing his friend's funeral. Blood is thicker than water, as they say. And when it comes to grief, family is the most important thing. Friends can come and go, but family is forever. And this man knew that his father was sick and that he might die soon. So he should have known that he wouldn't be able to attend his friend's funeral. But he still went ahead with it anyway. And when his wife called him out on his behavior, instead of apologizing, he blamed her for being selfish and not understanding his situation. And here's the thing. It's not about who is right or wrong here. Both the husband and the wife have some responsibility for what happened. The husband because he left his own family's funeral to attend his friend's funeral, and the wife because she didn't show any empathy towards her husband or acknowledge his pain. But now the husband is asking what he can do to make his wife understand his situation and repair their marriage. Well, I have some news for him. She will never understand your situation. Narcissistic people don't change. They will always be self-centered and manipulative. And the sooner he realizes this, the better off he will be. He needs to stop trying to make his wife understand his situation and accept that she will never do that. He also needs to stop blaming himself for being a bad husband and realize that he did nothing wrong. He was simply in a difficult situation and tried his best to handle it. No one can be there for everyone all the time, and sometimes you have to make tough decisions. The most important thing he can do right now is focus on himself and his own happiness. He needs to stop wasting his time trying to fix his marriage and start taking steps to improve his own life. This means focusing on his career, hobbies, and interests, and most importantly, surrounding himself with positive people who support and love him. This is not going to be easy, but it is possible. The husband needs to be patient with himself and trust that everything will work out in the end. He needs to focus on the present moment and enjoy his life to the fullest. He also needs to forgive himself for any mistakes he may have made in the past and move forward with his life. In conclusion, the husband in this story made a terrible mistake when he left his own family's funeral to attend his friend's funeral. He should have known that this would upset his wife, especially since she was already grieving the loss of her grandmother. He should have been more sensitive to her feelings and put his friendship with someone else second. On the other hand, his wife was also at fault for not showing any empathy towards him or acknowledging his pain. No one can be there for everyone all the time, but she could have at least offered him some words of comfort. Overall, both the husband and the wife made mistakes in this situation, and it led to the destruction of their marriage. The husband needs to learn from this experience and be more sensitive to the feelings of those around him. At the same time, his wife needs to learn how to be more empathetic and understanding. It's unfortunate that their marriage ended because of this, but sometimes mistakes happen, and we just have to move on.